Okay, so let's talk about Hulu and how they've just been on a roll these past years. So I am going to talk about several of their shows and upcoming movies. I will talk about The Bear tomorrow, but today we're talking about This Fool. This Fool is the latest comedy show from Chris Estrada that is on Hulu. Let me tell you, when you are looking for something to watch, especially a comedy that is bingeable and you're not going to want to stop, this is the show for you. Because when I first heard about this show, I was like, all right, let's give it a chance. I saw the first episode and went through 3 episodes just like that, and I was like, all right, you got to pace yourself, right? Because we have those moments where we're watching something and we're binging it all the way through, and then we're like, wait, we're halfway through already. I don't want to finish the show just yet because it's so good and I just want to keep on watching it. That happens, but eventually you finish it. I finished it in a week. This show is hilarious from beginning to end, and we're going to get into it for sure. So before we do go any further, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell. We're trying to get to 25K. So close, less than 1,000 to go. But let's talk about this show that I think is one of the best new shows of the year. So this show, like I said, from Chris Estrada, is just like, I'm just gonna say it. Luis is my favorite character. Frankie Quinones does an amazing job in this, and definitely one of the most hilarious in the show. We'll talk more about him in a bit, but I really did enjoy the show, showing a different aspect than what we're used to seeing a lot. And I think that this showing a sort of neighborhood of minorities, all of that, really vibed well with me, because that is definitely a community I grew up in when I was young, all of that, and I really did connect with a lot of these issues here, especially being Mexican as well. And I did like them bringing it to the forefront. A lot of the times things can come off cheesy or sort of stereotypical when they're done in Hollywood, and this one you can tell that there was somebody who had these authentic experiences as well and was really making sure that they came off as real and not something just like a prop of sorts. That's what I really did enjoy about this show. First and foremost is that authenticity to this community, and something that I think that you can definitely relate to, even though it is set in LA. And I do like that they sort of put that LA culture in there as well. I'm not from LA, by the way, but I do think that everybody who grew up in these communities can sort of relate to at the end of the day. I like when shows do that, where they don't feel like they're just excluding everybody else who didn't grow up in LA, but they sort of know that everybody who grew up in these sort of communities can have a bonding experience of sorts. So really big kudos to that for them doing. This show basically follows this guy, Julio, program that he works with Minister Payne, who is played by Marco Imperioli, which, by the way, Marco Imperioli really was a surprise when I watched this. Sopranos love? Anybody? We're going to be talking about Sopranos pretty soon. But he is great here as Minister Payne, who is sort of the one running this nonprofit where they're helping people rehabilitate after prison and get them off the streets and getting to a better career and life in general. So we have Julio, who his cousin Luis is just coming out of jail, and he decides to bring him into the program. And we see a lot of butting heads, especially somebody like Julio, who is not been in jail all this time, and sort of Luis, who has been in jail all this time for like 8 years. So time kind of sort of stops, and he stopped growing, and the world around us is constantly evolving. Even every year there's new things and all of that. So somebody like Luis, who went into jail 10 years prior, well, 8, but I mean, it almost is like a decade, right? The world changed a lot. It's very much so different, and you see the butting heads between him and Julio, somebody who's been sort of growing through all of this as well, and sort of has had a different lifestyle as well, younger, where he wasn't really in a gang and all of that like Luis was. And so once they're out and they're trying to do this program for Luis to pretty much get back on his feet, it creates a lot of tension, but a lot of comedy, but I think a lot of heart at the end of the day as well is what I enjoyed, because deep down at the root of it, you really see who Luis is as a person after the front and everything goes away, and you realize that this is just somebody who's trying to get their life together as well. We also are dealing with Julio and his ex Maggie as they try to get their relationship coordinated as well. Michelle Ortiz, who plays Maggie, does a great job in this show as well, really giving this character a lot of life as well, where it doesn't feel like sometimes in shows or in movies they can have like the ex-girlfriend or ex-boyfriend sort of feel like this sort of 2D character, not really somebody who you can vibe with. They're just there for the plot and to sort of push this progression for the main character, which I really do hate when they do that in shows and movies, where that character is just more plot device than the character themselves. Maggie feels like her own character. There is a lot to get insight from her. You feel for her, you know about her, you know the struggles that she goes through as well, and what she's trying to be at the end of the day. And I really dug that, because then you really get to see these characters all fleshed out, and that's just something great they do here. Everybody else involved in this as well does an amazing job for sure, as well as from Julio's mother to his family to the people that work at Hugs Not Thugs. And I thought that that was just something that's really well done with the writing for sure. The comedy is high and just really like above what you would expect for sure from a lot of TV shows coming out today, because I feel like comedy is a thing like horror that's so hard to do, in my opinion, because you have to get that timing right. You have to know when your audience is feeling it and not, and you have to know when you give a little break in between that comedy bit to land that next one. And I think that this fool does such an amazing job at like hitting those punches well, and you just laugh out loud the whole time. So very good on that for sure. Another one of my favorite characters in this whole show definitely has to be Chef Percy Williams, who is played by Jamar Malachi Neighbors, and I think that they are such like I want to see more of them in comedy. I definitely can see them being in a ton of more stuff just because of the way they handle themselves, the way they command the scenes and everything. That had me laughing out loud a lot, and just the timing of their jokes. Such an important thing in comedy is timing, and they get it right. But I think everybody involved here is super hilarious, and I would love to see them in some more stuff in the future. Like I said, a show you're looking for to binge, a comedy and all of that, this is your show right here. This fool is definitely that show. One of my favorite ones, top 5 definitely of the year, and I am excited and hopeful that we do get a season 2, because I want to see the story progress. No spoilers or anything for you here, but this is definitely the next show that you want to be watching if you don't have a show lined up right now. This fool on Hulu. By the way, this is not sponsored or anything by nobody. I am going to be doing more reviews and stuff on shows, and this fool was definitely the one that made me want to do more reviews for that. I will also have a review on The Bear tomorrow, which is also on Hulu, so if you haven't watched that, stick around tomorrow and you'll find out if you should watch it or not. But like I said, definitely add this one to your list if you haven't already. This is hilarious, laugh out loud, and just amazing. Chris Estrada, I am excited to see what he does next. So let me know your thoughts and opinions if you watch this fool. What do you think? If you liked it or not, let me know in the comments down below. But as always, as I say, make sure you hit that subscribe button as we are trying to get to 25K. Make sure you hit that notification bell as well so you know when these videos drop. We did a review on Honk for Jesus, and we have a Hellraiser video coming out today as well. It's a Hulu day, right? Hulu, call me. Do it for me. Like I said, really enjoyed this show. We'll have more reviews on shows if y'all want as well. We're getting ready for Atlanta this month, so we got a ton of stuff planned for that. Also, we will be breaking down each of the episodes like we have been doing with the previous seasons, so super excited to do that. But as always, that is going to do it for me. Thank you for sticking around. Tomorrow we have the new podcast dropping, as well as a few announcements for the month, because we got a ton of videos as well for October. So stay tuned. But as always, check out the videos on the left, and I'll see you next time. Stay safe, stay positive.